Okay, this is the last, oops, sorry, I just tripped over the cord. Okay, this is the last type of factoring, and this is factoring by grouping. Now, always and forever, every time, you have to ask yourself if there's a GCF. But after that, grouping is very obvious when you're supposed to use it, because you factor by grouping when you have 4 terms. So always and forever ask yourself if there's a GCF. So if I'm looking, oh, by the way, we're back in that factoring packet, which I should probably give you guys a few minutes, because a couple of you, I noticed, your factoring packet is in the folder. So you might want to get that, because not only are you going to use the factoring packet for these notes, and I'm going to give you another worksheet as well to do factoring by grouping, but you also are going to need to complete these practice problems. So, but I'll give you a second. I'm going to give you like 30 seconds. I know y'all have already started moving, so I'm going to give y'all like 30 seconds to go. Those of you who need to get your factoring packet and get it out of the folder. Okay, so now that you should have the factoring packet in front of you, we are on the back. We kind of got to skip a bunch of that stuff in the middle, because I only taught you guys one method of factoring trinomials with a coefficient of 1 or greater than 1. So we skip the stuff in the middle, go straight to the back, factoring by grouping. Okay, like I said, always and forever, check for a GCF. In this case, remember, in order to be a greatest common factor, it has to be in common with every term. And in this case, while the first 3 terms, 12, 2, and 30, are divisible by 2, 5 is not. So there is no GCF amongst the entire group. So I can move on to the next step. Now it's called factoring by grouping because you do exactly that. You group the first set of numbers together. So I'm going to go ahead and group them with parentheses. And you group the second set of numbers together. I'm going to group them with parentheses also, and I'm going to include the plus sign that was with the 30. Okay, now I have grouped them, and I'm going to look at them as individual problems now. So I'm going to cover this one up and look at just the first piece. 12xy plus 2x. And I'm going to look for a GCF that belongs to both of those pieces. When I do that, I in fact have one. They both can be divided by 2x. So that is the GCF of this group. So I'm going to put that GCF right here. And that would leave me inside a 6y. And if I divide 2x by 2x, I get 1. I'm going to do the same thing for this group. Try to determine what they could be divided by. Well, 30y and 5 can both be divided by 5. That would leave me 6y plus 1. All right, now, if you notice, these two things, these parentheses, are the same. They should be. If they're not, either you need to check your factoring and make sure you factored out the correct GCF, or there's a possibility that when you started this problem, it wasn't in the correct order. So you might need to rearrange the order. Or it is possible that it's non-factorable, but for right now, with grouping, I won't give you anything that's non-factorable. All the grouping problems you'll be able to factor because of the issue of it being in the right order. I want to make sure that you can determine that. Okay, so what you do now, if you look at it, because these two things are the same, they are actually the GCF of the whole problem. This yellow piece is in common with this term, and this yellow piece is in common with this term. So I can factor out that yellow piece and put it in front. If I factor out the yellow piece and put it in front, if I factor a yellow piece out of here, it would leave me a 2x. And if I factor a yellow piece out of here, it leaves me a 5. And that yellow piece is actually 6y plus 1. So that's it. A lot of times my students think that factoring by grouping is actually the easiest one. Just don't forget, you have to ask yourself if there's a GCF. So let's look at the next example. First, is there a GCF in the entire thing, all 4 terms? And I look at it, and there's not. There's nothing that will divide evenly into all 4 terms. Because there are 4 terms, I know this is going to be factoring by grouping. So I go ahead and I group the first set of numbers together and the second set. Then I'm going to cover this up and I'm looking just at this first set of numbers, looking for a GCF. Is there anything that can evenly divide into both of those things? And there is. It's a 2a. So if I divide 6ab by 2a, you get 3b. 2a divided by 2a is again 1. I'm going to do the same thing for this set. Cover this up, and I'm looking for what divides evenly into those. It would be a positive 5, so that would leave me 3b plus 1. You're always checking to see that these things match. They need to, they have to, because you need for them to be the GCF. Because they are in common, I can factor out that yellow piece, 3b plus 1. And if I do, I am left with, from this first piece, there's a 2a. From the second piece, there's a plus 5. And that's it. That's your final answer. So let's look. Let's do, there's 2 more on here, 2 grouping problems, and I'm going to do those with you. 14 and 15. So let's go for 14 first. Looking for a GCF. Is there anything that divides evenly into all 4 pieces? There is not. So go ahead and group. Factoring out of the first piece. They both have an a in common. That leaves me b minus 9. These have a positive 9. That leaves b minus 9. Checking to make sure that the parentheses are the same. They are. So that becomes my GCF. I factor that piece out, put it in front, so b minus 9. That would leave me an a and a plus 9. Alright, next, number 15. Checking to see if there's something in common in all 4 terms. There is not. So I'm going to go ahead and group. Looking for a GCF of this first piece. It looks like a 4x. That would leave me just a y and a minus 2. Plus 7. Y minus 2. Making sure that these parentheses are the same. They are. So that becomes your GCF, y minus 2, and you're left with 4x plus 7. Okay, so that is factoring by grouping. So now you should be getting a worksheet called Factoring by Grouping. You want to complete that worksheet. This one should go pretty quick because it's pretty simple. And then you'll also need to do the factoring by grouping that's on the IXL. One thing real quick, just so you know, if you look at it, like let's say for example, I have grouped something. I wish I had one like this, but I'll just make one up real quick. Alright, so let's say I hope this one works since I just made it up. Nothing in common in all of these, so I'm going to group in groups. This first one, when I factor out, I'm going to factor out a 3x. Oh, I messed it up. Okay, make do-overs. Sorry. 3x squared plus 3x. That'll work. Alright, so I'm going to group this first one. That would be a 3x in common. And that would leave me x plus 1. Now right here, if you can see it, sorry. If you can see this one, it looks like they don't have anything in common, but they do have a negative. So I would factor out a -1. And that would give me x plus 1. So if it doesn't look like they have anything in common, it's 1. And if your lead number has a negative, then factor out that negative factor. Because that is usually what will get you a matching parentheses. Okay, so with that said, you need to finish the factoring by grouping worksheet and the IXL grouping module.